headphones this morning, and luckily I was paying enough attention because the inside of the loop was just a web of spider web.
Ew.
It was a freak show. Our house is owned by spiders, basically. It's become more and more every year.
That's not good.
Well, I'm cleaning out the garage, so what I'm doing after this today is we've emptied everything out of the garage because I've been patching the cement, and then I need to clean it, and then tomorrow morning we're putting a epoxy on. You know, that epoxy that has like the flecks of like glitter in it.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we're putting that down, and I'm hoping doing all of this cleaning in the garage will have removed like a good portion of spider habitats in this house. Because everything in the garage had spider nests. It was awful. I hate spiders.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest on my way back from Michigan staying at your place, but now they...
Not anymore. No, it'll be spider-ish, spider-less next time.
Maybe we can just leave all that stuff in and say, "Hey, welcome to Flamecast."
Welcome to Spidercast.
Yeah, Spidercast. Yeah, because that could tie into Spider-Man.
I did not watch Spider-Man, so we can't talk about it.
Oh my gosh! You need to go out and watch some movies. Okay, did you watch Dark Tower?
What's that?
Did you watch Dark Tower?
No, I heard such bad things. Okay, let's save this for our Spidercast.
Well, we're already recording, so.
But you got to introduce things.
Well, this will be a different
sort of
start.
amateur hours. All right,
Well,
welcome to
okay,
Spidercast.
okay, well, we'll do the movie theme. Okay,
yes.
so you had a problem with Dark Tower.
Well, so I've read the books. Have you read the books?
No, and that's probably
Maybe
a good
that's
idea, I guess.
Right. I think I heard that it is a lot like World War Z, and that the title is basically the only thing that's the same.
Well, okay, I went to it with Chris, who said that it was more of a sequel to the books than an actual interpretation of the books.
Right.
So in that instance, he was okay with it. And me, being that I haven't read anything or really knew what I was getting into, I'm like, yeah, this isn't a bad movie.
Yeah, I heard it was it was definitely geared toward kids, which is a funny thing to do with that book series.
Yeah.
I like Idris Elba, so I'm sure I'll see it at some point. But
yeah, suppose on the rental circuit.
yeah. Speaking of similar things, I don't know if you have looked into this, you of all people. Did you see the Movie Pass information?
Movie Pass information.
So look up Movie Pass. This got a lot of news because this company's been around for a while, and they just announced recently that they were doing a unlimited theater movie watching deal for $10 a month, where they basically, I think, as far as I understand, they basically give you a debit card. You go to the movie theater, you use that just like you would normally be buying tickets, and the company pays it. And they'll pay for one movie a day per month, so 28 to 31 movies a month for $10. So you're getting your money's worth if you see 2 movies. I unfortunately cannot do it because, for whatever reason, my theater, it doesn't work. So look it up beforehand.
Yeah.
But for you,
I just see one of the stories here is AMC theaters reportedly blocking Movie Pass e-ticket use in Boston and Denver.
Yeah. AMC's not happy, even though it doesn't affect them at all.
So Movie Pass's $10 a month plan has angered the theater chain.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, this is interesting. I'm
I
gonna have
wanted
to
to do it.
really
It's a
look into that.
fantastic deal.
Only $9.95 per month. So, uh,
They somewhere, I don't know if the website has it, but the app has a search for theaters, so you can check to see if your local theater.
yeah, I was just looking at the Rochester area. Let's see here. There's
You have,
three.
you have plenty of options.
Yeah, it's like all three theaters in Rochester are good with it.
Goodbye to $10 a month, Todd.
Yeah. Well, of course, you know, the last time I went to a movie, which I think was Dark Tower, I actually paid it for the ticket this time.
You've still been using your pass?
Yeah, well, I suppose I can say it on here because people listening, we don't have a large following, so
There you go.
so they're not gonna hear any of this. But yeah, I've been still using that pass even though it expired like a year ago. But they never look at it. I've given it to them. They've had it in their hand, flipped it over, given it back to me to let me in. I'm like, I mean, if you're gonna do that, then why not?
And this is why underage kids can get alcohol, basically. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's just nuts.
yeah, there have been a lot of. The last time I talked on here was a while ago, so a ton of things have come out, so we can't possibly cover all of them. But
Yeah, well, I think since I did the last one, which was like 2 months ago,
mhm.
I've been to three movies that I can think of. The other being War for the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, I didn't see that, but not necessarily for lack of interest. I did not really like the previous movie very much, but
Oh, see, I haven't seen the previous one, and it was actually in the $5 bin at Walmart, so I picked it up. I have yet to watch it yet.
I'm in the minority on not liking it. But I'm pretty prone to having a movie be completely ruined by single things in a movie. And it's not that I loved the whatever the previous one, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Um,
Yeah.
it's not that I loved it to begin with, but when there was a scene where there was a gorilla riding on horseback with a machine gun in either hand, shooting at things, I was done.
Ah, come on.
Yeah,
That's almost like that one picture of like Batman riding a shark with holding a
it
lightsaber and
it is basically as jumping the shark as you can get in a what's supposed to be a relatively serious movie.
yeah, but then well, I mean it was the 70s when the the original movies came out, but I mean you had gorillas on horseback with guns then too.
But it was a
So,
machine gun in either hand. Like I think he may have even fired them up into the air at one point.
yeah.
Anyway,
Uh,
that reminds me, I just saw a great meme that said if I worked on NASA's ground crew, I would make sure that at every shuttle landing, all the ground crew was dressed in Planet of the Apes costumes.
that would be totally awesome. Uh,
Yeah, that came out, and Spider-Man probably came out, which, as I said, I haven't seen, and I think I've talked on here before about not liking Spider-Man as a character very much.
well, I think this one would maybe change your mind.
Yeah,
It was pretty good.
I hated Spider-Man in the what is it called? The last Avengers movie.
Oh, Civil War.
Yeah, Civil War.
It's kind of funny because at the beginning of this movie, well, Peter Parker had his phone with him when he went and fought with the Avengers.
Hmm.
So he's doing all these selfie things. He's like, "Oh, wait a second, I gotta go do this," and he's got the phone like So you're almost kind of seeing like a behind the scenes type thing of the battle that happened with the Avengers,
Gotcha.
the Civil War stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of fun to see that.
I I reached peak superhero movie 4 years ago, so every
Well,
new one is kind of a tough sell. I think in the last 2 months, I saw Wonder Woman,
okay.
and it's fine. I think it's an amazing superhero movie, which means it's a perfectly average movie. um, and
Actually,
since
that one is being re-released in the theaters again.
there's a
I think, yeah, it started up again in my theater that I go to.
and since I last talked to you, I saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which I was very excited about and was not very happy with.
Oh, really?
That was just too much beating a good thing to death. Like, Drax was funny in the first movie because it was surprising. This movie, it was just, you know, too much.
Yeah, yeah, maybe a little.
And the characters are also all invincible, apparently, which is kind of boring.
What, dragging him through
Yeah,
um, trees when the ship is crashing?
yeah,
You
that
can't
scene.
do that?
That scene. Oh my god. But I really I love Michael Rooker anyway, and so I loved his character getting more characterization and stuff like that.
Yes, yes. I
That's
actually
probably the
picked
best
that
part.
up on Blu-ray. Um, what? I think that was Wednesday?
Movies come
Wednesday
out
or Thursday
fast.
after work. So we ended up watching it Thursday evening.
Well, the my other big complaint too, and I think you can appreciate this, being of a similar age to me, the music was not nearly as good. I think
Mm,
I love Brandy. They overused it, but I do love that song. But like Weird Cat Stevens song, uh,
yeah, there's some stuff that yeah you don't normally hear too much, but then they had George Harrison on there, so
yeah.
that makes up for it.
Anyway, um, yeah, not sure in terms of movies what else. I haven't seen anything in the theater in a while. It feels like it may have
Yeah,
been Wonder Woman was my last movie I went to in the theater.
yeah, theaters it's kind of died down a little bit. So I've been watching a lot of stuff at home instead.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
I was wondering whether you were going to mention Defenders, but I'll preempt that by mentioning an even better superhero show that just started, The Tick.
oh yeah.
I watched up to episode 3 last night.
Now is that um, on Amazon?
Yeah. They released 5 more episodes, so I had watched the pilot when it was on, and they released up to episode 6.
Yeah, we did have Amazon Prime for a little while, and then we kind of let it go because we really weren't watching anything on it. And,
Well, it's not. I don't have Prime for the shows, and up until recently, the selection of shows was garbage.
yeah,
But I have it for all the crap I order from Amazon. But the shows have gotten good. The Tick is definitely enjoyable, and I'm really excited. They're supposed to be bringing the Jean-Claude Van Damme show. They had a pilot for his show, Jean-Claude Van Johnson,
oh jeez.
and it looks really good. If you've seen JCVD, have you seen that?
No, no, I haven't.
JCVD is sort of a kind of comedy, um, almost like a documentary because the character is basically him, and it's very irreverent. It's very sort of making fun of himself, and Jean Claude Van Johnson looks to be about the same. He's
Jeez.
an actor who I think he's also a spy,
Okay.
and he's old, of course, and trying to get back into it,
He's old.
but he's just pathetically out of shape. So, but the Tick,
Nice.
if you like the Tick, I just keep waiting every episode for Deflator Mouse to pop in, and I'll be super happy, but hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I've got the original show on DVD.
The
Oh,
cartoon.
no, the live action.
I never watched the live action show. Right? I think I tried to watch it and then I didn't go any further.
Yeah. Hey, one of the best parts is Batmanuel.
That Manuel. Nice.
Batmanuel. Um, but yeah, it's only a season's worth, so
Yeah.
it's not that long. So like when you buy the DVD, it's like entire series on one disc.
Yep.
It's like, yeah, okay.
It's kind of like Firefly.
But yeah, Defenders I haven't gotten around to watching yet. I'm
I've
like,
heard mixed things.
yeah, I'll wait a little bit. Well, first of all, I was in the midst of watching. I picked up the Legacy disc set of Planet of the Apes. So
Oh,
I've been watching all the old Planet of the Apes movies for
I
about
did
the
that
past
about
week.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
The first one is so good. I honestly, the first Planet of the Apes movie has to be in my top probably 20 to 30 movies of all time.
Yeah. And
And then it
then
goes very rapidly downhill.
yeah, the others kind of get a little goofy. So
Which one ends up with the, what are they? I don't want to say magicians, but like the priesthood guys.
that
Like
was
the third
the
one.
second one.
Oh, okay.
Cause yeah, second movie, and it's like it set off the nuclear bomb, and it's
Right.
like, okay, is this the end? And then the next movie, it's like, oh no, three of the apes jumped onto the spaceship and got away. It's like, okay,
I've heard there's, and I don't remember because it was a long time ago, but one of the later ones is actually decent, right? Is it
yeah.
3 or 4 or something is actually pretty good.
Well, yeah, the third one is when the apes come back into like present day, like 1990,
Nice.
and yeah, it's so funny when they do stuff like that. It's like come back to 1990s and everything's all futuristic, and it's like "Nah, it really didn't turn out that way, guys."
Yeah, we had a pretty optimistic view of the 90s.
Yeah, I mean it only was the 70s when they did that, so they thought in 20 years we'd have a whole different kind of structure.
Well, if you want to be very depressed on a similar note, I saw a thing recently that said if I think that 70s show started airing in, I can't remember what it was, like 1994.
Yeah,
If they aired
something
a
like
show of similar era right now, it would be in the 90s.
that. Yeah,
That's so depressing. And not that much has changed. Although cell phones, you would argue, have changed things a lot.
yeah, the cell phones and your iPads and
Yeah,
stuff like that,
the computational stuff.
tablets.
We're
Yeah.
blowing away Star Trek at this point.
Otherwise, it's like not much has changed. Cars are a bit better.
Yeah, yes and no.
Well,
Always
I
sad
don't know.
when I car shop and the fuel economy is still the same as the fuel economy was in the 80s and 90s.
Hey, that's the thing about my new car, because I ended up getting a new Ford Focus. When is that? Like mid-June,
Mhm.
and it gives the like the overall miles per gallon until you reset it.
Right.
And right now I'm getting like right around 60 miles per gallon.
Wow.
I'm like, is this thing broken? 'Cause
Yeah,
I
there
sure
are good
wasn't
ones
getting
out there.
that with my other Focus.
My sports car, when I don't drive it like a moron, I do get up to about 37 miles a gallon, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of expecting, but when it started shooting up like in the 40s and then 50s, and like I hit like 60 over the week, but now it's at a point where it's not going up anymore. That's cap.
That would be a fun. You should write a outline for a nostalgia slash futuristic or futurism podcast. You can have a whole podcast where you talk about the things that you thought about as a kid that you would have as an adult.
Hmm. Write
I,
that idea down.
I think even as a kid, I knew flying cars were a stupid idea. So
Yeah. Well, I mean,
that's one that everybody mentions.
how would you regulate traffic?
Like,
That's the overall thing. I'm like, there's no way people would be riding all over and
people are dumb enough on the ground.
drive. Yeah, they'd be flying over your house and shit. And
Oh,
it's like,
yeah, I didn't
no.
know
Like, yeah, it's probably a good idea for the military, and that's about it.
that. Yeah.
They can go anywhere they want.
Although, in some sense, I guess drones, that is another major change that is something that
Yeah.
people kind of predicted that drones are approaching kind of flying car type territory.
Yeah. Well, there's the one guy that made a drone big enough where he could actually ride it. I don't know if you had seen that or not.
I've seen similar things. I don't know if I've seen the one you're talking about. Some of the big,
It almost reminds me of, like, oh shoot, what's his name? The Green Goblin's.
Oh yeah, God,
Except it's not going to go that fast.
bad Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
The biggest commercial drones that people use for like movie filming and stuff like that are pretty massive, not car size, but those could mess up your house.
Like a mini helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the TV shows, we kind of got off topic there, but
Sure.
supposedly the Punisher is going to come out with his own TV show.
Interesting.
But to see how that happens, I suppose I have to watch The Defenders first.
Yeah, and this is kind of why I think, not just me, but I think a lot of people are exhausted with comic book things, not just because there's a lot of them, but because of the network thing, where you feel like if you don't watch one of them, if I don't watch, Jessica Jones, then I'm missing some key part of the story for this other show that I'm going to watch. And
yeah.
that keeps people away, right? If you're not going to be able to get everything, then you may as well not do anything.
But it's on demand. You can watch it anytime you want.
But there's so much good TV, right? I mean, there is so many good things out there that for me to catch up on all of the Marvel or DC TV shows would be a job, like a full-time
Yeah.
job.
I mean, I don't do that with oh, shoot, what's the other show? The one on ABC. The one I don't watch.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I would never watch Agent Carter. I haven't watched any of that stuff, so.
It reminds me a lot of ironically enough, it reminds me a lot of the comic book world. Like, if you didn't read comic books growing up, if I wanted to get into comic books, it's just hopeless, right? Like, you don't even know where to start. There's so much interwoven.
Yeah, there's some of that.
Or the old Star Wars universe, right? The now non-canon Star Wars universe. Like, getting into that was a nightmare because there were so many. They were coming out with a book a month.
Yeah. Yeah, for a while there, I was working on trying to read all those, and then got to a point where, yeah, just spending way too much money on books.
Yeah.
Like, well, if I really want to watch or read them, I can check them out at the library, and then it got to be where they pretty much dissed the whole thing and said, this is all legacy stuff, and this is not part of canon. So that totally turned me off.
Well, in terms of TV, I can say one thing that you are probably not up on, so that we can't talk about, and that is the TV show.
Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Are you kept up on it? Are you up to date?
Yes, I am. And
Uh,
I'm not going to say how.
oh, well, yeah, I can't imagine how. I, yeah, this season, we won't spoil it, I guess, because it's still pretty fresh, and if anybody's listening that is watching it, this season is
Yeah.
interesting. Somebody hit the fast forward button.
Yeah. And there's been some people kind of complaining about that. But
I
on
just
the
think in
other
general,
hand, I mean, they're trying to move the story ahead and kind of finish it up. So,
that's what I'm saying. Like, there's fast forward in terms of the one major thing that people are complaining about, which is the time travel in the show. The
yeah, it's like, okay, the White Walkers are going this fast, and meanwhile, Jon Snow's going from here to here
I
to
want
here
to
to here
do
to
the
here to here.
math. I want to do the math on the last episode, which is, I think, the most egregious time thing ever. Without spoiling it, I think if Gendry had a car to drive to the wall, and at the wall he used a cell phone to call Daenerys, and then Daenerys took a private jet to come back, I still don't think they could do it in that amount of time.
Yeah. Well, you might have used that Ford pickup in the one shot.
Is there a pickup in a shot?
It was a behind the scenes thing, and people
Oh,
keep posting it online. Oh, look, there's a truck in the back, and it's like, dude, that wasn't in the show. That
yeah.
was behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, people keep posting and posting that. It's like,
It's
look into it.
it is very frustrating, but I think it's partly a consequence of that, just everything being fast forward. Yet they still have time to give Cersei like a 5 minute speech in every episode.
Yeah. Then again, you don't want to see people just walking, and although you
Yeah.
kind of get some of that, but at least there's dialogue with it.
Yeah, but
So
her, she's not a good actress, and these long speeches of her, I imagine the actress just goes and drinks like a whole bottle of like lemon juice before every scene, just so she can make that face.
yeah, yeah. Well, this weekend we've got one more episode, and then what? We have to wait until next year.
Probably more than a year, right? They seem to be doing like 16 months between seasons.
I don't know if it was supposed to be that long.
It was between these last two, right? The last one aired, I think, April 1st was the beginning of the season, and this one
Yeah,
was June 16th, July 16th, beginning of the season.
yeah. Well, hopefully it doesn't take as long.
Well, are they doing 7 episodes for next season or 6 or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. Because what, we've got 7 this
7.
season?
And
Yeah.
they could have done the same amount of information in 10 episodes and probably been better off.
Wasn't this one coming up this weekend supposed to be um, like a longer
Longer.
episode?
It usually is. I hadn't checked yet, but I'm hoping it is. They've all been a bit long, actually, so it is a bit disingenuous to say Game of Thrones is 7 episodes because each episode is about an hour and change
Yeah.
compared to a normal TV show where you're getting a 40-minute episode.
Right, right.
But yeah, usually the last one is about an hour and a half. And I guess if we wanted to, we could watch it right now. In fact, last weekend I did illegally download it. Even though internet, I have access to HBO, I subscribe. I illegally downloaded it because I was driving to Missouri to see the eclipse,
Yeah.
and I Game of Thrones, as I think anybody in the world can tell you, is the one show that you have to watch on time because it will be spoiled for you.
Yes, yes.
You can't go on the internet at all without it being spoiled. And so I watched it on the Saturday before.
Well, then even people that don't think they're spoiling anything for you, it's like,
Well, it's just headlines. I don't put a spoiler in the headline.
yeah. Or one friend of mine online, she went and showed, I think it was a picture of one of the characters, and then her only comment was like the smiley face with a tear. I'm like, damn it!
Yeah. Yeah, don't do things like that.
uh, so, not gonna tell you who that character is, but
But
uh,
yeah, so I drove down to see the eclipse, which was awesome.
yeah, another friend of mine went and drove down. Oh shoot, I think he might have been in Nebraska,
Hmm.
and supposedly a lot of people drove down to these areas because he said, "Yep, what was it, 3 hours, and he's only gone like 15 miles because the traffic was that bad.
Well, he
He
made the
couldn't get out."
mistake. I am a smart man. I my plan all along was to go to the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, there we
And
go.
so I camped north of Kansas City at a really nice campground, and I was planning on being at this town a bit northeast of there that was right on the center line.
Hmm.
But when I was there in the morning at a coffee shop, it was just pouring rain, and I was looking at all the weather reports, and everything said the rain was going to stay there until the eclipse.
Hmm.
And so I looked at like 10 different maps and 10 different predictions and found that they all generally agreed that to my southeast in central Missouri was going to be better. Maybe not clear, but better.
Okay.
And so I just got in my car and hopped hopped in and drove southeast randomly, and then about and it was just pouring, like I could barely drive pouring.
Wow.
And I that finally started to die down, and when that finally started to die down, I could see the edge of my cloud bank in front and like a bit of blue sky in front. And so I
Ooh.
just chased it, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then I finally got to the edge of it and found this big open window of sunshine that I could watch the eclipse. But I had to drive probably 70 miles from my original place.
Hmm. But you
But
remembered your necessary eye protection.
yes, of course, unlike our president.
I was just gonna say, what a doofus. Good lord.
um, well, and it's pointless to look at the sun without it anyway because you can't see the eclipse. And
Yeah.
in fact, some of the cool part for me, scientifically for me, was analyzing how the light works while it's happening. Because even even trying to put my camera up to my glasses and take a picture while it was eclipsing, it still just looked like a circle.
Okay.
And the
Yeah.
sun still looks like a circle, even when it was like a teeny tiny 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 sliver. When I would take a picture, looked exactly like the sun,
Huh.
just a normal circle. And and I've actually done a lot of research in photosynthesis, so I know a lot about light in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this anyway scientifically, but still, just the human instinct is like it should be smaller. But the idea is generally that the sun, as it is normally, is like a million times too bright. So
Yeah.
even when you block off 95% of it, it's still thousands of times too bright.
Yeah.
So even that little teeny sliver that's peeking out is way too bright to blow out a camera, and also, of course, your eyeballs.
Yeah.
Um, and so it was really cool when it finally eclipsed. If you watch videos, you always see the sun finally disappearing and then the corona like lighting up. But that's not how it works, right? Because in
Mm-hmm.
my solar glasses, what happened is when the sun finally disappeared, I see nothing. It's just black in my glasses.
Right.
So I have to take my glasses off, and then you can see the corona. And that was unbelievable.
Yeah, that would have been nice to see.
It was I can't even I sound like a d-bag saying it, but like pictures are not even remotely doing it justice. It was so amazing in person.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it happened. Shortly after 1 o'clock for
Mhm.
us, and yeah, a few of us went up to one of the parking ramps downtown Rochester, and looked at it from there, and someone had gotten their glasses with them, and kind of took turns using the glasses. But me not being good with heights, and I mean,
A
I was,
parking garage, Todd?
I mean, well, we were on the top floor of the parking garage,
Oh
and
no.
uh,
I'm not good with heights.
I,
I'm teasing you because I'm not good with heights, but I
but
can
I
handle a
was
parking garage.
unsteady, like looking up and then knowing that I was that high. It's like, my God, I would make a terrible superhero if I was ever gained flight. Be like, I can't handle flying.
Yeah.
I can fly, but I can only go this high because I can't handle it.
I was at a hotel in when Mariah and I went on a cruise last year. We stayed one night in a hotel in Florida, and this hotel had a central atrium, but the central atrium was most of the building, and so the
Yeah.
hotel was just a ring around the edge of it, and the the walkway was probably only like 5 or 6 feet wide, and then just a little thin metal railing. And we were on the 11th floor. I had to walk like up against the wall
Yeah.
walking around it. And one time there was like somebody put their room service out, and I just bumbled right into it because I was hugging the wall so much.
Kind of sounds like how Embassy Suites is set up in some of
Yep.
their hotels. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember which company this was, but it was freaky. So I understand, but I have gone skydiving and parasailing and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you were up on me there. I'm never
It's
gonna do
partly
that.
it's good to attack those fears, but I feel a lot different when I'm in a harness, when I have like, something attached to me that is my safety gear. I'm not as freaked out.
Nope, not gonna happen.
For me, it's just standing unfettered on the edge of something.
Uh,
I went rollerblading with a friend recently in one of our neighboring towns here, and it has a really nice river pathway. And one of the spots across, we crossed the river, and the pedestrian path on the bridge has a railing, but I swear the railing is like a foot and a half high or 2 feet high. And I was on rollerblades, so I'm like 4 inches taller than I normally
holy
am and
crap!
unstable.
So how high was this bridge?
Down to the river, probably about 30 feet.
Okay.
It was pretty freaky. I went very slow, and the cyclist in front of us got off of her bike because that would be even freakier to be on a bike.
Yeah, you'd think that'd be like a liability.
Yeah, it seems like this was too low uh, to be safe.
Hmm.
Anyway, we're done with heights. The eclipse was amazing. I hope
Yeah,
anybody listening got to see it in person. It was unbelievable, but we'll have another chance in 7 years.
yeah, yeah. I spent most of my time watching it on NASA's website. So
Yeah, I encourage you. The next one is probably as far away as this one was for you, but if you can get somewhere on the next one, I would encourage you to do it.
yeah, well, we'll see what it's like in 7 years.
Yep.
Hey, I had seen that you were you on the radio?
Yes, I was on
On it?
NPR, our local NPR, so nothing major, but
Yeah. What was it that you talked about again?
it was a research paper that I had released earlier this summer on microbial communities in a prairie restoration.
That's
So,
right. Yeah.
yeah, we have a lot of areas here in Illinois, Minnesota, maybe in the band a little bit, but maybe a bit far north to have been a prairie state. So all of these states that we call prairie states is kind of a joke anymore because we don't really have that much prairie left.
Right.
But a lot of it is being restored. And in about an hour west of us, there's a huge area that the Nature Conservancy has been restoring since 1985 or 86. But yeah, it's been an interesting experience. We had our university guy do a press release on it, and so we've had a few things. I had another interview with a radio guy, but that one was a perfect example of how bad it would suck to be a famous person because I had like a half an hour conversation with this guy about my project, which was looking at how the soil communities, the soil bacterial communities, recover when they do these restoration efforts. And had a half an hour conversation with this guy, said various things, various questions, got off topic a few times, and
Oh,
the
that doesn't
article
happen, does it?
never. And the article comes out, and he had like a 4-second clip of my voice, and it was
Oh my
saying
God.
something about. I think he had asked something like, how does this research apply, or how can we use this to learn things, and we had gotten off topic about how a lot of people are trying to convert their lawns and their homes into like native plants and things like that.
Hmm.
And so I mentioned something like, a grassy lawn is a terrible ecosystem, which it is. I think um, grass is a horrible blight on our country, and because it takes up so much water, especially in areas like California and Arizona.
Mm.
And so I mentioned that planting a prairie ecosystem is better, and that's what the whole article was about. It was like a researcher says that grass is bad, plant native plants. That's not what my research was about at all.
Uh,
So being taken out of context. I've been taken out of context publicly.
man.
So next time you see some quote from some actor, don't necessarily
Yeah.
judge them probably.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, or do a little research and see, if they've got your recording online somewhere.
They do, yeah. So our local NPR station is WNIJ, and the article is. I can send you a link if you want. The article is probably long since off of the front page and all that stuff,
Right.
but it is still up there, and it's a relatively short, like a 4 or 5 minute piece. And the guy who did it, Austin, was I think one of the younger people there. So
Okay.
uh, it was kind of fun because he was really excited about everything,
Oh,
and I think he did a really good job of putting it together.
awesome. All right. And then the all-important question. Suppose you didn't plug the podcast. Oh, I've
Plug
done
the
this.
podcast.
I've done this before.
No.
I'm on a podcast.
Yes, I tell everybody that, Todd. Sorry.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of these 2-inch by 2-inch magnets that has the uh, just the design for our podcast on it.
Mm-hmm.
I should give you some
Yeah,
of
I should
those
get
so you
some
can
of
hand them out.
It'd be nice to
Actually,
put those in random places.
yeah, I got one on my fridge. I got one on my file cabinet. And
Well, I don't know if you know this, but I've done several podcasts before this. I was
yeah, I
on
think
a writing podcast once, and then I had gone to Dragon Con a couple years in a row and did interviews with people
oh,
and presented those on another person's podcast as well. So
that's why you seem like such a natural, huh?
I just like talking anyway. I'm the kid that got in trouble for talking in class all the time. So
Yeah, I was not that person. I was the one that kept quiet all the time. So for me to be talking this much, it's like, is that really Todd?
it is also private, right? When you're talking especially on on a headset on a computer, it's kind of a different thing.
Yeah. I mean, I always thought it'd be nice to do more in person,
Mm-hmm.
and it just hasn't turned out that way for the most part. I mean, I think I've done maybe 3 of them, 4, no, 5, 6, 6 of them in person
The logistics are
with the
harder,
other
right?
person.
Like
Well,
the
yeah,
audio is a lot harder in person.
it can be, but I mean, just picking up on visual cues from the other person and stuff.
That helps.
You don't have that when we're doing it like this. So
Well, and I think you and I have done enough of these, and you and I have chatted enough that it's not that big of a problem. But the hard part about doing it virtually always is not interrupting the other person
Right, right. And for the most part, I haven't really had a problem with people doing that or doing it to someone else. But every
Well,
once
you're
in a while,
generally a person that has a good pace, right? So I have friends who just talk like this the whole time and they never give you an opportunity to get in on the conversation anywhere. And then even that sentence and that topic changes into another topic. And so even if they've said something that you wanted to
so
interject
then
on,
I have
but
to
long
jump
since
in and
moved on.
overpower you.
Yeah, I have a good friend who's like that, and it can be really hard.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if it's like you have people like that. Is that what it's like talking with Kevin Smith on a podcast? He's like totally runs it.
Well,
And I think
you've
it
listened a lot
is.
to his podcasts, and I've not listened at all. Does he have
Oh,
problems with things like that, like interrupting?
yeah, I think a bit. I mean, he talks a lot,
Yeah,
and yeah, unless he's really interviewing someone and getting information, he really kind of overpowers the podcast with himself.
yeah.
So it happens.
There's speaking of Kevin Smith, I've probably talked about it with you before, but the Screen Junkies YouTube,
Yep.
primarily YouTube channel, they have movie fights, and they've had him on before, I think, but they had him on a live show during Comic-Con. Did you
Yeah,
see
what was
that?
it?
Their movie
I
fight?
haven't seen it. I was gonna look it up, and then I'm like, I've got something else going on, so I'll have to return to that. But wasn't
It's
it
really
him
worth watching.
versus?
Elijah Wood
Yes.
and one of their main guys, Dan. And Dan, I love Dan to death, but he just gets destroyed, and it's partly because Kevin Smith is ruthless, ridiculously ruthless about how he fights in the game. I won't spoil anything. You should
I
watch it.
gotta watch this.
And I love Elijah Wood. Elijah Wood is one of those people where I liked him as an actor, but the more I see of him as a person, the more I like him.
Yeah.
He's, I guess, a ridiculous movie nerd.
Awesome. Well, I think this is a good time to do the fan film of the month.
All right.
And our fan film of the month this time, we have a little inside thing going on this one. Not that I had anything to do with it, but someone else did. Travis was involved in this one. It's called Star Wars Hand of the Empire. And so far there's only just a trailer out. The release date is sometime this fall. I'm not sure if I ever saw a solid date when they were going to have it out or not, but looks interesting. It looks like it's, I mean, Hand of the Empire. Who do you think of when you have Hand of the Empire? You're probably thinking Mara Jade. So it kind of looks like it's like her in her younger years.
Hmm.
And
Mara Jade, who doesn't exist, you mean?
right, right. Well, we'll see what happens in the next movie here.
Do you think she is going to show up in the Han Solo movie?
No, I'm thinking
Or in the episode, what are we at now?
yeah, episode 8.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe she'll be mentioned, but I'm guessing in the movie she'll be dead.
I almost thought she might show up in Rebels because we have Thrawn in Rebels.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
She didn't show up this last season.
Well, she's gonna show up in Hand of the Empire. So yeah, we'll post the link to the trailer and
Cool.
yeah, check that out when it finally the whole thing is finally released. Again, sometime this fall. I'll do a little research before I post the podcast, see if I can nail down a date. You'd think Travis would know something like that.
You'd think he might. Yeah, it just says expected fall 2017 release in the
Right.
YouTube video.
So, and then we'll have our Kenner Star Wars commercial.
I need another leg.
It's Kenner's new Star Wars droid factory that you put together to make your own droids. Jawa action figures sold separately.
Hey, I made R2-D2.
You can make your own droids or follow the droid maker blueprints. By switching different tops, arms, and legs, you can make hundreds of droids, up to 5 at a time. The movable crane swings parts where you need them. You can even make droids with wheels.
Gotcha.
The Star Wars Droid Factory. Jawa action figures sold separately. New from Kenner.
And we're back.
Well, that was exciting.
Yeah. You know, there's a place that just opened up in Rochester. What is it, like beginning of July? Somewhere in there. I didn't know about it until, just a few weeks ago. But this place is called Nerdin Out.
Mm-hmm.
And you go in and half the store is set up where it's got like classic Star Wars toys, classic Marvel toys, DC toys, G.I. Joe. It's like, you can just stand there for, 30 minutes just looking at that stuff.
Just nerding out. I was just talking with somebody who I felt kind of bad because they brought up this conversation just by asking, like, did you ever have any of the old Star Wars toys? And every time anybody's ever asked me that, I say absolutely not, because like the figures were garbage.
Well, back then that's all you had. So
no, but growing up, I had an option between G.I. Joe, which has fully articulated everything.
Yeah, there's
and
that.
Star Wars that were just, they had like 3 joints. And
the arms could move, the legs could move, the head could turn. That's it.
Yep, that's it. And so I told him that, and he's like, oh, well, I know a person, so he knows a guy, or maybe it was a family member, who worked on the engineering and design of the vehicles, which were very nice.
Yeah.
So this guy apparently has like all of these unopened packages of figures and stuff like that that he just got as promo material. So
that is awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is a friend of a friend, so I can't be like, can I meet this person? Can I go raid their house?
It's like, next time you go over there, invite me too. Yeah, that kind of a thing.
Yep. Hey, can we pause for 1 second?
Okay.
I have a package delivered, and my neighbors are having a garage sale, so I do not want to leave it on my doorstep.
Okay.
I don't trust people. I'll be right back.
Okay. Meanwhile, we can say all this stuff about Wes that he doesn't want anyone else to hear. And I don't know any of it, so we'll see how long it takes him to get back. In the meantime, let's see, we talked about TV shows, talked about movies. Well, I guess we'll wait until Wes gets back.
I love getting packages where I can see inside the box before opening it.
Oh. Well, you probably don't want to have people at the post office seeing that, though.
God. I'm afraid to open it. Oh.
Not when you're ordering from your adult stores,
Right.
Not that I do that, but
my life of ordering board games where companies seem to think that the packaging that it comes in is disposable like every other item. No, the packaging is a part of the product.
Yeah, it's kind of important.
Yeah, Amazon is the worst. This is not an Amazon delivery, but man, Amazon will just throw a board game box into a box and just hope for the best.
Yeah, that's not good. That's when you open it and hope that, do they have all the little pieces and baggies already, because this is going to be bad.
Yeah. I've been an Amazon customer for 20 years now, and their packaging has not significantly improved in the past 20 years.
Well, you won't have to worry about that when it's brought by drones. So.
Right. It'll be even worse. Are these propeller cuts in my box?
Oh, God, yeah.
What's next
Oh.
on the agenda?
Well, I was going to say one other personal thing. I got a new job. I don't know if you saw that online or not.
I did not. I'm never on Facebook.
Well, yeah. I am now the project coordinator in the cancer quality program at Mayo Clinic. So
What does that mean? All these jobs.
it means that
decipher from
I'm
the title.
pushing around data, making spreadsheets, and sending it to people.
Which is totally different from what you've been.
Yeah. Don't you like how they prop up these jobs by important names, and it's like, yeah, I'm a janitor.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of administrative assistants in my department. We don't have any secretaries.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they do some of that at Mayo, too. But, yeah. I'll get to change jobs September 20th.
Okay.
So, yeah, 10% increase in pay. And
That's very nice.
it's like, yeah, it'll be nice. And I'm going to be working for an area that, I mean, the manager there is outstanding. She's the best manager that I've ever had.
Oh, cool. That's a big deal.
Because back when I started in the MRPI area, which is still part of medical records, she was our supervisor back then, and we had the best time. And I mean, she would fight for us, in other committees and stuff, and it's like, this is who you need, like, to clone and stick into all these other departments. And then we had her for like 6 months, and then they reorganized, and then we no longer had her anymore. It's like,
I tell everybody, the people you work with are far, far, far more important than what you do or
Yeah.
what you're paid.
Yep, I would agree.
Makes all
So,
the difference. Yeah, I'm for the first time since I've started this job, I'll be applying for jobs.
oh,
And it's partly because of awfulness of working in the state of Illinois, but I should be in the next week, actually, a week from now, I should have gotten some tentative confirmation of getting tenure, which, generally speaking, almost all people in my field, when they are getting tenure, they're applying for jobs to either move into a job with tenure, which is kind of a nice thing to do, or leverage it to get better things in your current place of employment. So it should be interesting.
nice.
Applying for jobs is always 1 part fun and 9 parts pain. But
Yep. Yeah, speaking of doing jobs, I have a job to do here at home that I really need to get to at some point, but I pretty much made a decision that the fan film I was working on, the audition, is not going to happen.
yeah,
So I should really alter the website to reflect that, and maybe I'll put out clips and stuff at some point, and yeah, I just kind of take that out. But most of my time has been dedicated to working on action traction, actually.
yeah. I think in
And,
the same vein of getting people together in person to do a podcast in person, I think
Yeah.
you've always been doing that fan film. Same problem, right? You have to get people together in person.
Right. Yeah, that's the other thing that kind of takes up my time for this. It's action traction and doing the podcast. And between those, it's like, what have you got time for?
Yeah.
Because, I got to play my Lord of the Rings online, and now that I've got
Still.
Star Wars Battlefront for $5. You know what? I was telling people yesterday that, today's the last day of the sale on Star Wars Battlefront because it's only $5. And because it's supposed to go through the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was talking with Corey on the phone yesterday. I'm like, yeah, today's the last day. You got to do it if you're going to do it. And if you don't, maybe I'll just, because it's his birthday tomorrow. So I'm like, I'll buy it for you as a birthday gift. And then, yeah, he's looking online. It's like, nope, $29.99. I'm like, what? Today's the 25th. It's supposed to go through the 25th. He's like, yeah.
It's like 10 a.m. or something.
Yeah, knowing Origin, like 1 minute after midnight
Right.
on the 25th, they probably ended the sale. It's like,
Yeah, I tried to get some people through. Well, and the funny thing too is I hadn't realized, because nothing is obvious with EA, that I thought I was going to have to do $5 and then $5 for the season pass, but the Ultimate Edition did come with the season pass.
right. That kind of surprised me too, because I go and buy the Ultimate Edition, and then I'm looking at
And
the
then you
game
go to buy the
online.
season pass.
Yeah, I go to buy the season pass, and it's like unlocked.
Yep.
I'm like, really? Awesome.
That
I
was
thought I was
nice.
gonna have to spend another $5.
Although all of that season pass stuff
Yeah,
is all multiplayer, which,
yeah.
I mean, that's fine. I get that it's mostly a multiplayer game, but I can't believe they didn't have any offline season pass stuff.
Well, yeah, because I went and fired it up last night and played with Matt, and I'm looking at, because you got the menu when you get into the game,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh, it's probably under Season Pass. So I click on Season Pass, and it's
That's just an
listing out.
advertisement.
Yeah, it's just listing out what's there. It's not. You can't click on anything and play it from there. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is this? I'm sure I bought it, didn't I? So I
did.
spent the next 15 minutes trying to figure out. Okay, I
I
did
think
buy
you and
it.
I did the
Yeah.
exact same thing. Like, I
Yeah.
closed out the app, I go back into Origin, go click on everything. Yeah,
Damn you, Origin!
yeah. They did not make it obvious.
Yep.
And that stinks, because I've been going through some of the tutorials and a couple of the whatever they're called, the scenarios.
Yeah, the missions and stuff.
And it would be fun to do some of those on Bespin or on
Right.
Seraph or whatever.
Scarf.
Scarif, tomato. Hey, you can't.
Yeah.
This is my little soapbox. In the Star Wars universe, I think we're not allowed to correct pronunciation, because Han Solo and Han Solo and
Yeah,
They-
Princess Leia, Princess Leia.
Leia, they are not consistent.
No, they're not. It's like,
So
well,
I'm gonna go
maybe
with
it's a different
Scarif.
accent.
It's my Carillion accent coming out.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, the graphics on my machine, you were saying that your machine is a little low on the spec list.
Well, graphics card was above specs.
Okay.
RAM is at the minimum at 8. But my
think I have
processor was
30.
a little on the low end, but it still runs. So
Oh no, I only have 16. Okay. I need to upgrade my RAM apparently.
yeah, I need to upgrade my RAM.
My machine is ridiculous, and the graphics on the game, like, it looks real, basically.
Nice.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
But-
well, I'm used to Lord of the Rings online graphics, so
You're used to 2006?
yeah,
I don't know, when did that come out?
yeah. When was that? 2006 or 2005? One of the two. So yeah,
Well, they need to do like EVE Online did. I don't know if you ever followed, but EVE Online has been around for God knows how long. At some point, several years after they were out, they did a total graphical overhaul.
Mm.
And they made it, at least as of when I played it, 10 years ago, they made it amazing. It was gorgeous.
Seeing that, I mean, they're following the story, and now they've opened up Mordor. It's
Right.
like, do you really want to put all that money into updating graphics? Although they
think
did
not
upgrade
important.
the character avatars, so your person looks more real. Although I think he looks more pissed off, because I tried changing that at the barber shop, and it's like, no, it doesn't matter what I do for like eyebrows and stuff. This character looks pissed off.
It's angry.
But yeah, even my lore master, just an old man, he looks like he's about ready to rip someone to shreds.
Yeah.
Like, oh well. But
Does that mean they're about done with updates if they've unlocked Mordor now?
well, I mean, if they follow the books, eventually the story leads back to, because Saruman did not die on a spiked wheel
Yeah.
in in the books like he did in the movies. Um, him and wasn't it him and Greamer go back to the Shire and kind of take it over?
I don't remember.
I mean, you've got that kind of going on. The Scourge of the Shire, I think is what they
That
refer
game
to
is
it
going
as.
to milk it long enough, right? They're going to get you all the way back across the sea with the elves.
Yeah, yeah. At the end, we'll have to go to Grey Havens, I suspect, and do that. But yeah,
I
because
can't believe
people are already asking, "Oh, okay, we've got Mordor. What's left?"
Yeah.
It's like, well, we've got some stuff left, a little bit. So
It is impressive that it has lasted that long in the age of disposable MMORPGs.
yeah, and part of me is kind of like, it'd be kind of nice when it's done,
Yeah.
because then I can play all these other games that I have and have been meaning to get through, and I just haven't done.
There,
I mean,
kind
I
of
still
made
haven't gone through StarCraft 2.
it's not worth
The missions on that.
It's not worth it. I made an effort to go through some of my Steam library when this last Steam sale went out, and there's some stinkers in here, but I hit a few like genuinely really good games. So there's still some incredible experiences out there. I'm really loving. I don't know if it's your style, but The Long Dark is a survival game, and they recently came out with their official release, which has kind of a story mode. And the basic idea of The Long Dark is that you are in northern Canada somewhere, central Canada somewhere in the winter, and some sort of some solar storm kills all electrical everything, and so you're kind of trapped in the middle of nowhere with, I think at the beginning of the game you have barely anything, and you have to keep warm and survive long enough to start making a life for yourself. But it's just a really well done game.
Huh. All right. Well, I think we should probably call it a day here.
Yeah, speaking of Battlefront.
In 30 minutes, I have to.
You gotta run.
Yeah, run over and get Corey and take him out for his birthday lunch. So.
All right.
And then we're trying to figure out if I'm gonna go see my mom today or tomorrow. If we do it today, I'll do that right after going to lunch. So I don't think Battlefront will happen.
Don't complain.
Today,
I'm going to
maybe.
be cleaning my garage floor for probably the next 4 hours.
Well, if I don't go, I know Matt's kind of looking at doing Battlefront tonight. So
Yeah.
if we're on, we're on. If we're not, we're not. But I think when he comes on, it'll be about 8 p.m. our time, which is 9 p.m. his time. So something to look forward to. Maybe.
All right.
So, all right.
Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah. And we didn't even do our introduction because we did an unorthodox intro. So, well,
This
anyways.
has been Spidercast.
Yeah. Spidercast. This has been Flamecast. I am Todd Pletz.
And I am Wes Swingley.
And that is a wrap. Off button. Off button.
Hey, at least you can click the off button this time rather than realizing.
Yeah.